My best friend had been sleeping with my wife for 14 months, and the night I found out, I didn't say a single word. I just sat with our son while he built a Lego spaceship, made the appropriate dad sounds, and started planning the rest of my life. I work in financial risk. For 10 years I've built models that calculate exposure, that map exactly how far a portfolio can fall before it becomes unrecoverable. I know how to read numbers that other people don't want to look at. I should have applied that same skill to my own house a long time ago. My son Milo is 7. He has my nose and his mother's stubbornness, and an encyclopedic knowledge of Star Wars lore that would embarrass most of the adults. He was the reason I held it together that night. He's the reason I hold it together most nights. My wife, Faye, we met when I was 26. We built something together. Or I thought we did. I thought we had the same blueprint. And then there was Vance. Vance and I met freshman year at UNC Charlotte. Same dorm floor, same major, same terrible taste in dining hall coffee. By sophomore year, we were studying together every weekend. By junior year I was a groomsman at his cousin's wedding. By the time I married Faye, he gave a toast that made her mother cry. She called him our third musketeer. I let her. That's the part I have to live with. I handed him the key. It was a Tuesday in October. Milo had a half day, so we'd come home early, and he'd been watching Lego tutorials on YouTube all afternoon. I was making dinner, chicken stir-fry, something easy, when I noticed the family iPad on the counter was lit up. Faye uses it sometimes when her laptop is charging. I assumed it was a news notification. I glanced at the screen. It was an iMessage thread, her name at the top, his name below it. Thinking about you today. This whole week actually. I'm not sure what made me pick it up. Maybe I already knew. Maybe somewhere underneath everything I'd been running the calculation for a long time, and just hadn't looked at the result. I scrolled up. 14 months. Not all of it explicit, but enough. Long stretches of ordinary text interrupted by conversations that weren't ordinary at all. Inside jokes I didn't recognize. References to places I hadn't been. A Tuesday morning, last night was different. A Thursday afternoon, we can't keep doing this. A Monday 3 weeks ago, I know, but I'm not ready for it to stop. I read the whole thread. Then I put the iPad face down on the counter, exactly where I'd found it. Went back to the stir-fry, stirred it, and called Milo for dinner. He came thundering down the hallway in his socks and slid the last 4 feet into the kitchen, which he'd been doing since I made the mistake of encouraging it, once in August. Did you add the cashews this time? He asked. Always. Dad, you forgot them last time. I did not forget, I made a strategic decision. He rolled his eyes like a 40-year-old man. Trapped in a second grader's body. We ate. He told me about his friend Harris, who had apparently started bringing hot Cheetos in his lunch every single day, and was in an ongoing negotiation with their teacher about whether that counted as a snack or a meal. I asked follow-up questions. I laughed at the right parts. None of it reached me. After he went to bed, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and a yellow legal pad. I work with numbers. I trust structure. I find it helps to write things down. At the top of the pad I wrote, what does the next 12 months look like without this? I worked backward from there. I didn't say anything to Faye that week. Or the week after. I know how that sounds. But I needed to understand the full scope before I moved. That's not stoicism. That's how I was trained. You don't make a call on a position until you've mapped the downside. The downside here was Milo. I called a family law attorney named Cyrus Brandt on a Thursday morning from the parking garage at work. I'd found him the night before. 22 years in family law. Former judge advocate. The kind of reviews that use words like precise and relentless. Walk me through it, he said. Not unfriendly. I did, the messages, the timeline. The fact that we had a 7-year-old and a joint mortgage in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, he said. Adultery bars spousal support. That's significant. What about custody? Primary physical with you is achievable, depending on your willingness to relocate. Are you planning to stay in Charlotte? I'd been thinking about this since Tuesday. My company had a Denver office. They'd been trying to fill a senior analyst position for 2 quarters. I'd turned down the conversation twice already. No, I said, I'm not. Then we file here and establish residency there with the child. You'll want temporary emergency custody first. If she contests it, we go to a judge. But adultery with an established partner, documented over 14 months, that's not a difficult case. How fast can you file? Monday. If you bring me everything by Friday afternoon. I said I would. He hung up. I sat in that parking garage for another 5 minutes watching a pigeon investigate someone's abandoned Chick-fil-A bag, and then I went back upstairs to my desk and sent an email to HR. Subject: Denver senior analyst position. Available to discuss. 3 days later, Vance sent me a text. Hey man, need to talk, all of us. Can you come by Dana's on Saturday around 2? Important. Dana was Faye's older sister. I'd always liked her. That was going to make this complicated. I typed back, sure, I'll be there. I had the paperwork filed by Friday at 4:17 p.m. Saturday morning I dropped Milo at my parents' house. Told my dad I had something to take care of. He didn't push, he never does. I drove to Dana's, a nice street, brick colonials, mature trees, the kind of block where everyone keeps their lawn edged. Faye's car was in the driveway, and Vance's truck. I rang the doorbell. Dana answered. She looked like she hadn't slept. Hey. She said come in. Her husband was in the kitchen making coffee, and making himself small. Smart man. The four of us sat in the living room. Faye on the couch, Vance in the armchair across from me, Dana beside her sister. Nobody was quite meeting my eyes. Vance went first. He always went first. He was the one who gave speeches at parties, who flagged down the server, who said the thing out loud when everyone else was thinking it. I used to admire that about him. Blake. Man. He pressed his hands together. There's something you need to know. And we should have told you a long time ago. I'm sorry we're doing it this way. Faye stared at her lap. He told me. The whole thing. What they'd told themselves, how they'd been trying to end it for months, how they'd finally decided I deserved to hear it from them, instead of finding out some other way. He sounded genuinely remorseful, and I believed he was. I also believed that had very little to do with anything. When he finished, the room was quiet. Dana reached toward me. We know this is a lot. Take whatever time you need. I looked at Vance, I looked at Faye, then I looked at my hands. Okay, I said. I stood up, took my jacket off the arm of the chair, said, thanks for telling me, and walked out the front door. I heard Faye say my name once from behind me. I kept walking. She got home 2 hours later. I was in the bedroom pulling suitcases from the closet shelf. Milo's and mine. His school things were already in a bin in the hallway. His Lego sets, the important ones, the ones he'd built and rebuilt until the instructions fell apart, were wrapped in dish towels. I heard the door, her footsteps stopping in the entryway. Blake? Careful, testing. I carried a suitcase to the bed and unzipped it. She appeared in the doorway. Her eyes went to the suitcases, then to the closet. My side nearly empty, her side untouched, then to the bin of Lego sets in the hall. What are you doing? Packing. We need to talk. What happened at Dana's? I know you're hurt, but we can work through this. We can go to counseling, we can. Divorce papers were filed yesterday, I said. I didn't look up. Emergency custody granted this morning. Milo comes with me. The silence was complete. You can't just. You'll be served Monday. You can't take him. He's mine too. You'll have visitation rights. Supervised, pending the adultery finding. My attorney will reach out to yours. She came into the room. Hands up, like she might grab my arms. I stepped to the other side of the bed. She caught herself at the foot of it. This is insane. Her voice climbed. You can't blow up our entire family because you're upset. Milo needs his mother. He'll have his mother. For supervised visitation. If you relocate within 50 miles of Denver. Denver? Like a foreign word. I have a position there. Transfer is approved. We leave Sunday. You've been planning this. The hurt in her voice shifted into something else. You sat there today and you already knew. You've known for, how long? Long enough. That's cruel. I almost said something. Almost. Instead I zipped the first suitcase and pulled the second one open. Vance is texting you, she said. She was looking at my phone on the dresser. It had buzzed twice while we talked. I know. He's worried about you. He feels terrible. We both do. If you would just. My phone buzzed again. I picked it up this time. Vance. Bro, please just call me. We can work through this. I love you, man. You're my brother. I stared at that word. 14 months. I set the phone face down and kept packing. Faye tried for another hour. Tears, then anger, then something close to bargaining. She offered to cut off Vance completely. Couples therapy. A trial separation. Anything but this. She offered to move to Denver too if that's what it took. Keep the family intact for Milo's sake. Think about Milo. I was thinking about Milo. He'd asked me once, back in August, why Vance hadn't come to his birthday party that year. I'd said Vance had something come up. Milo had shrugged and gone back to his cake. Kids notice more than you think, and they forget faster than you expect. He would adapt. That was the data point I kept returning to. What breaks children is chronic instability. Not a single clean break made by someone who knows what he's doing. When Faye left, she didn't slam the door. She pulled it shut behind her, which was almost worse. My phone lit up with incoming calls for the next 3 hours. Vance. Faye. Dana. Faye's mom, a mutual friend named Todd who I'd started to suspect had known longer than he should have. I answered Todd. Did you know? I asked. A pause. A few months ago. I didn't know what to do with it. Okay. I meant it. Don't give anyone my forwarding address. Blake. I mean it, Todd. Anyone. He agreed. I hung up. I didn't call him again. Sunday morning I picked up Milo from my parents' place. Told him we were going on an adventure. He wanted to know if Denver had good pizza. I said I'd find out. He decided that was acceptable. I hugged my mom in the driveway for a long time. She cried quietly into my shoulder. My dad shook my hand and then pulled me in and didn't let go for a moment. Neither of them told me to be the bigger man. Neither of them said think about forgiveness or the family with needs you or legacy. My dad just said, call us when you get there. My mom slipped a card into my jacket pocket. I found it somewhere past Kansas City on I-70. $100 bill and a note, for Denver Pizza, we're proud of you. Always. I drove 14 hours. Made it through Missouri before Milo fell asleep, and spent the last long stretch of Kansas in total silence. Watching the mile markers tick down. The Denver apartment was on the 3rd floor of a building near City Park. 2 bedrooms, a balcony looking out over a line of cottonwood trees. I'd found it online. Paid first and last month via wire transfer, never seen it in person until I unlocked the door, Sunday night with Milo asleep against my shoulder. His room had east-facing windows. Good morning light. I made up his mattress on the floor. The bed frame would arrive with the movers Tuesday. And arranged his stuffed animals the way they lived back home. Set his Millennium Falcon on the windowsill, where he'd see it first thing in the morning. Then I sat in the empty living room with my back against the wall and let myself feel it for about 10 minutes. Steen. That was enough. The first 2 weeks were logistics, new job orientation, school registration. Jefferson Elementary was 2 blocks away. Strong reviews, a librarian who apparently did character voices during read-alouds, pediatrician search, finding the nearest Target, the nearest grocery store, the nearest park. With a decent open field. Milo cried one night in the 2nd week. Said he missed his room. Asked when we were going home. I sat on the edge of his mattress and told him this was home now. He didn't believe me. I didn't push it. By week 4 he'd stopped asking. Week 6, he told me about a kid in his class named Kai, who also had all 3 UCS Lego sets. The Millennium Falcon, the Eiffel Tower, the Colosseum, and that they were planning to trade instruction booklets and try the other builds. He said this with the specific satisfaction of someone who has found their person. Is Kai nice? I asked. He's very particular about minifigure placement. Milo said, but in a good way. That was the week I stopped worrying about Milo. Cyrus called every 2 weeks with updates. I returned calls during Milo's school hours and kept them short. Faye's attorney pushed back on the custody terms. Filed a motion claiming relocation was punitive. Cyrus countered with the documentation. 14 months of recorded communication. Adultery bars under North Carolina statute. Faye's failure to attempt a single supervised visit since we'd left. She hasn't called? Cyrus asked once. Not on any number, I answer. A brief pause. She's not helping herself. I know. In November Todd texted. Faye and Vance split up. Thought you should know. I was in line at the coffee cart near my office when it came through. I read it, typed back thanks, paid for my coffee, and walked to work. That was the full extent of my feeling about it. The job was the same work, modeling risk, building exposure reports, presenting to clients, but the team was smaller, more collaborative, less political. My manager noticed within the first month that I delivered without needing direction. She started putting me on higher visibility projects. By January I had a raise. By March I had a title, Senior Risk Analyst. The salary increase was 40% above what I'd been making in Charlotte. I opened a 529 for Milo that same week. One that would actually matter in 11 years. The settlement arrived in the mail in late April's. House proceeds 148 na split, same to Faye. Divorce decree attached. Final. Acts executed. Cyrus's email was 4 sentences. Case, closed. Adultery finding stands. Alimony denied. You're free. I took Milo out for pizza that night and let him order the loaded fries too. Which was usually a special occasion thing. He asked why we were celebrating. I said we were celebrating spring. He accepted this without further inquiry and ate his weight in fries. 2 weeks later I put a down payment on a house. 3 bedrooms, detached garage. A backyard with a level section of grass. Milo immediately identified as a training pitch. The mortgage was less than my old Charlotte payment. First weekend we owned it, Milo helped me assemble a swing set from a big box store. 4.5 hours, 3 arguments about which bolt went where. 1 stripped screw I had to improvise around. When we finished he climbed to the top of the slide and announced. Structural integrity confirmed. In a voice that was clearly imitating me. I laughed until my eyes watered. I started coaching Milo's soccer team in the spring. Mostly because no one else raised their hand at the first parents' meeting. We weren't a great team. We were the kind of team that loses on a technicality. And then goes out for tacos anyway, and somehow that's fine. The kids liked showing up. Milo played forward. Small and quick and slightly reckless. The kind of player who made 3 wrong decisions in a row. And then did something brilliant on the 4th try. One Saturday in May, tied game, 4 minutes left. Milo got the ball at midfield. 2 defenders converged. He cut left then right, drove forward, and put it in the upper corner from 18 yards out. The keeper didn't move. He sprinted toward me with his arms out. I caught him and lifted him up, and for the first time since that October Tuesday with the iPad on the counter, I felt something I'd almost forgotten was available to me. Pure uncomplicated joy. The kind with no asterisk. "Did you see?" he shouted into my ear. "I saw, buddy. That was perfect." He hugged my neck tight, the other kids piled in. Parents cheering, Kai's mom taking pictures on her phone. Normal, healthy, good. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. Milo was talking about ice cream. I set him down and watched him run back to his teammates and thought, this is the model. This is what you protect. Milo turned 8 in September. I woke up that morning to him standing next to my bed at 6:52 a.m. saying, Dad, it's the day. Like the day might leave without him. I'd been up since dawn. Streamers in the backyard, tables set up, bounce house delivered and inflated. 11 kids by noon. Pizza, a slip and slide I'd had serious doubts about until it actually worked, and a Lego competition where the categories were most creative and most likely to survive an earthquake. Kai won both. Milo came in second in the earthquake category, which he argued was functionally a tie. I grilled hot dogs and watched my son run laps around his own backyard with his friends, and thought about the word legacy. That word gets thrown around in rooms like Dana's living room. Think about what you're leaving behind. Think about the kind of man you want to be. As though legacy is a decision you make under pressure, in front of people who need something from you. It isn't, it's this. A kid who knows how to argue constructively and build things from instructions and find his person in a new city in 6 weeks. A backyard that is ours. A father who shows up every morning, makes the right kind of eggs, and knows which ones actually matter. My phone buzzed during the cake. Cyrus. I stepped to the edge of the yard to call him back. Faye's attorney officially withdrew the visitation modification petition, he said. She's not filing again. Case is closed on all fronts. Thank you, Cyrus. A pause. How's the boy? He just successfully defended second place in a Lego earthquake competition. He laughed. Good, take care of yourself, Blake. I hung up and looked at the backyard. Kids everywhere. Milo demonstrating his slip and slide technique to a crowd of skeptics. Kai filming it on his mom's phone for what Milo had promised would be, quote, viral content. They had wanted forgiveness. A tidy resolution. They wanted me to absorb the cost of what they'd done, so they could all go back to comfortable. So the friend group dinners could resume, so group chats could go back to normal, so everyone could tell themselves it was just a rough patch. That the right amount of grace had smoothed over. I chose something else. Not anger. Not the kind of revenge you plan in a parking garage and feel good about for a week and then carry around the rest of your life. I chose to be somewhere else entirely. To build something clean. In a place where none of the old weight had any reach. To make a life so completely mine. And Milo's, that whatever was happening in Charlotte became genuinely, structurally irrelevant. That's how risk management actually works, in the end. You don't fight the bad position, you exit it, redeploy the capital, and build something with better fundamentals. The kids were chanting something. Milo looked up from across the yard and waved at me, both arms, the way he's done since he was 3. I waved back. We are not going back. We were never going to.